Attention passionate Green Bay Packers fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Green Bay Packers' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Green Bay Packers fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your friends and Green Bay Packers fans. Let's get to the news. Alright, folks, if you've been following the Packers this season, you know that things haven't gone exactly as planned, but there's always that glimmer of hope, right? And this latest development, well, it could be a game changer. We're talking about the Packers exploring options to strengthen their defensive line, specifically in the interior, and one name that's been floating around as a potential trade candidate is a top defensive tackle. Now, I won't spoil everything up front, but this move, if it happens, could significantly alter the team's trajectory for the rest of the season and beyond. Let's set the stage here. The Green Bay Packers, under the leadership of head coach Matt LaFleur, have been striving to find consistency on both sides of the ball. We've seen flashes of brilliance from their offense, with Jordan Love showing promise as the franchise quarterback. Love has been developing rapidly, and many fans are optimistic about his future, especially considering his impressive performances in recent games. But as everyone knows, football is a team sport, and defense wins championships. And that's where the focus is now. The Packers have been looking to bolster their front seven, especially the interior defensive line, which has struggled at times to contain the run and pressure the quarterback consistently. Now, the name that's been circling around as a trade candidate is a top defensive tackle, someone who could bring immediate impact. Think about it. A dominant interior presence that can disrupt the offensive line, open up opportunities for the linebackers, and help the secondary play with more confidence. It's not just about stopping the run, it's about creating chaos in the backfield, and this kind of player can be a game changer. The Packers front office, led by General Manager Brian Gutekunst, has been monitoring the market closely, and the possibility of making a move is very real. They're in a position where they need to be aggressive if they want to make a genuine push for the playoffs and potentially a deep postseason run. But why now? Well, the NFC North is as competitive as ever. The Detroit Lions have emerged as a powerhouse, with a high-powered offense and a resilient defense. The Minnesota Vikings, despite some struggles, are still formidable, and the Chicago Bears are in the mix, especially with their young quarterback and the potential for growth. The Packers know they can't afford to fall behind, especially when the postseason is within reach. Adding a top-tier defensive tackle could be the missing piece, giving them that extra edge to compete at the highest level. Now, let's talk a bit about what this means for the team's current roster. The Packers have some talented players on the defensive line, such as Kenny Clark, who has been a steady presence for years. Clark is a veteran leader, and his leadership is invaluable, but every team needs depth and elite talent to really contend. If they're able to acquire this defensive tackle, it would likely shift the entire dynamic of their defensive scheme. They could rotate players more effectively, keep the front fresh, and apply more pressure on opposing quarterbacks, something that's been somewhat inconsistent this season. And speaking of quarterbacks, Jordan Love has shown he's up to the challenge, but he needs a defense that can give him more opportunities by forcing turnovers and stopping drives early. With a dominant interior lineman, Love could see more opportunities for big plays, which could be a catalyst for the team's offense to explode in the second half of the season. Remember, in the NFL, a strong defense can be the difference maker in close games, especially come playoff time. The Packers are acutely aware of this, and that's why they're exploring all options. Now, let's delve a little into the potential trade scenario. The market for interior defensive tackles is always competitive, especially with teams looking to bolster their defenses before the postseason. The Packers might be willing to part with some draft capital or a depth player to land this kind of talent. The key is balancing long-term development with immediate impact. They might also be considering the salary cap implications, but given their current position, a push for a proven player makes sense. The trade window is open, and with the NFL trade deadline approaching, things could heat up very quickly. Of course, it's not just about acquiring a star player. It's about how this move fits into the bigger picture. The Packers have been resilient, and the roster has shown flashes of greatness. The coaching staff has been emphasizing discipline and execution, especially on defense, but sometimes, that extra piece of talent can turn a good team into a great one. And with the season still wide open, every game, every play counts. As fans, we're also looking at the upcoming schedule. The Packers will face some tough opponents in the coming weeks, and having a dominant interior defensive tackle could be the X factor in those matchups. Imagine the impact of a player who can collapse the pocket from the inside, forcing quarterbacks into uncomfortable throws or even sacks. That's the kind of impact that can swing games and give Green Bay the edge they need to climb the standings. Now, let's talk a little about the history, not just recent history, but the tradition of the Packers always being in the mix when it counts. This franchise has a storied past, filled with legendary players and memorable moments. But what often defines the Packers is their ability to adapt and find new ways to compete. They've always been a team that emphasizes strong defense, resilient special teams, and a committed fan base that travels in droves to Lambeau Field, creating that iconic atmosphere. This potential trade for a top defensive tackle fits perfectly into that mold, a team that's always looking to improve and make that final push. And of course, let's not forget the importance of the fans in all of this. Green Bay fans are some of the most dedicated in the league. They've seen their team rise and fall, but the passion remains unwavering. If this move materializes, it'll be a boost not just for the players, but for the entire community. It energizes the fan base, gives hope for a playoff run, and keeps that sense of legendary resilience alive. The Packers are a franchise built on community, tradition, and perseverance, and this potential move only adds to that narrative. Now, looking ahead, what should fans be expecting? Well, if the trade happens, it could happen at any moment. The NFL trade deadline is always a roller coaster, and teams are often motivated to make moves that can define their seasons. The Packers, with their current needs, are certainly in the mix. Keep an eye on rumors, on team statements, and of course, on the transactions list in the coming days. This could be the move that elevates the Packers from a solid team to a true contender. And remember, this is not just about one player or one trade. It's about the vision of this team, the leadership of head coach Matt LaFleur, the development of Jordan Love, and the desire of this franchise to return to the glory days of Super Bowl championships. Green Bay has always been a team that fights tooth and nail, and with this potential addition, they could be setting the stage for a memorable playoff run. As we wrap up this deep dive, I want you all to think about what this means for the Packers and their division rivals. A dominant interior defender could be the difference in tight games, and if they secure that player, it could shake up the division hierarchy. The NFC North is already intense, but with this move, it might become even more competitive. And that's what makes this season so exciting for Green Bay fans. Every game, every play, every move counts, and we're all on the edge of our seats. So what's your take, Packers fans? Are you excited about the possibility of adding this top defensive tackle? Do you think it's the missing piece for a deep playoff run? Or do you believe the team should focus on other areas? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear all your opinions. Remember, this is a community, and your voice matters. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, more news, and more insights into your Green Bay Packers. Stay tuned, stay passionate, and let's keep the Green Bay spirit alive. And now, Green Bay Packers fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Green Bay Packers. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Green Bay Packers news.